What is up, everybody? This is Jason again with another video for you. Hope you're enjoying these. I know I'm enjoying making them for you all. It's whiskey's been a hobby for a long time, and it's fun to talk about it a little bit more often. So, hope you're enjoying them. Hope you like the format. I'm pretty no frills, no bull, So that's kind of why I'm just leaving them unedited and raw. These are typically one take. I have had twice where my door was knocked on and messed it up and I restarted. But other than that, they're pretty much straight through one take and you get what you got. So I hope you're enjoying them. Looking forward to another one today. We're talking about barrel finishes. It's a common thing we see on the shelves, and a lot of people are like, "What is it? What's that? What's that barrel?" So we're gonna talk about it today and kind of how it plays into what you're drinking, what you're tasting, and what the deal is with it. We'll call it that. What the deal? So today I am going to have myself a pour. This is Liberty and Plenty Distillery. They call this their Bronze Bull Spirits. It's a small batch bourbon, and it's finished in Madeira. And they are out of Durham, North Carolina. So this is a bottle that was gifted to myself, and I've had a little bit of it. It's a pretty good pour, so wanted to showcase that, talk about that one a little bit today, and I've got a good little lineup behind me as well that you can probably see there, and we're going to talk about those. So let's get started. So get this pour going though. I haven't had a good pour for a couple weeks, and I've been craving one. So cheers, you all. Looking forward to this. Haven't visited this in I don't know, a couple months. So yeah, cheers. Mm. It's good. I remember it being pretty tasty. So this is a Madeira wine finish. I'm gonna get into a lot of examples and kind of what those are. So but we'll get started with this. Yeah, pretty tasty. The cool thing that I'll mention, with finishes, and you're not gonna like all the finishes. You're gonna find something you like, and that's gonna be the one. You're gonna find others. You're gonna be like, that's disgusting. So because those the secondary barrels do change the profile that you might love about one whiskey so much. It's unbelievable. So you're not gonna like them all, but you're gonna find something that you really do like. For me, it's toasted barrel finishes. They're delicious. It's just what that secondary toasted barrel does is just smooths things out and brings just such like caramel and vanilla and sweetness forward, and they're just yummy. I can't describe it any other way. The You'll see those on the shelf. It's become more of a popular thing in the past few years. Double oaked. So typically those are going to be a secondary toasted barrel, and yeah, but you're going to see wine finishes. You're going to see rum finishes, and then you'll see some cool stuff like this, which I'm going to get into. And yeah, we'll have to get some feedback on what you all have tried in terms of secondary finishes, what your preferences are. Tell us about it. Let's get a chat going. So again, we're going to talk about these guys. I'll introduce them a little bit and educate us. Let's go. So again, that is the Madeira finish. So it is a Madeira wine barrel. It's a 3-year blend of bourbons. It's actually Kentucky bourbon and Tennessee bourbon. So we say 3 years. It's not very old. Can't be that good, can it? Well, you see the color on that. It's got a really nice color to it. Not typical for a 3-year whiskey, but it's because it's been finished in that wine barrel. Like it's more depth, more color, more flavors. So that's a lot of your newer distilleries, you're going to see finishes for that exact reason. They want to release some stuff. They need to recoup some money, and they want to get the product to market. So they're going to do some finishes because you can use younger juice for it. You're not going to see any. I don't think I've ever seen any like age stated finishes. And you're not going to see a 8-year-old Madeira finished bourbon that I'm aware of. I could be wrong. I've been wrong at least once. My fiance says twice, but pretty sure it's once. But yeah, you're gonna typically see those younger age statements because that's the point. Is we're taking the young juice and sprucing it up, if you will. So, what is a secondary finish? So, the whiskey has matured in its first new charred oak barrel, and we've then taken it from that barrel and put it into a secondary barrel, a secondary cask. And the purpose, again, is to add flavors and further finish that whiskey. So, we're going into a secondary barrel that is either, they're always going to be, again, charred or toasted, and then it's going to depend on what was in it previously, or if it's nothing. For example, just a toasted barrel, there's typically nothing in those before they're toasted and the juice is put in. So you're going to go into that secondary barrel and age for an additional amount of time. So like that one, for example, previously had Madeira wine in it, and the toasted barrel, again, it was just a secondary new toasted barrel. And furthermore, a cab, a Mizunara cask. I stumbled on that one. So, different life prior to that life. And it's going to definitely boost some flavors, change some things, and make your whiskey arguably better. Yeah. So, again, getting flavors from that new wood, and it's going to age there for a little while to just enhance the profiles you've got. So talked about this Madeira. So I'm going to also showcase a couple new guys to the selection. So this is Taconic. This is a Mizunara. We'll talk about what a Mizunara finish is a little bit. Beautiful color on that guy. Also from Taconic, a Cabernet cask finish. Cabernet wine. And I've got the lovely old Elijah Craig toasted barrel there. Great stuff, very affordable, easily to, on all the shelves. And then we're gonna finish up with this lovely private selection. I'll tell you more about that here in a minute. So Taconics are a New York distillery. They are a little bit upstate, and we Stanfordville. We had the liberty of going and checking them out. Shout out Carmen. Maybe I can get you to watch. Shout out for inviting us up and showing us around and letting us try some great whiskey. We had to bring some home, and then we haven't opened these yet. They are fresh to the selection. We just got them a couple weeks ago, so they haven't been opened. We have I always have had a rule around opening new bottles. I only open new bottles with someone. So a lot of the times I do use my fiance for an excuse to open those. Hey, you want to try this? Yeah. So we'll pop one together, but it's just a fun rule. I can look at most of these bottles behind me and tell you who I initially opened it with, and it's just a fun experience, especially for newer folks. Oh, we're opening a new bottle. That's exciting. So if I've got a bottle that's not open, it's because you and I haven't got to open it yet. So if you haven't asked, it hasn't gotten opened. Very few that I would call a special occasion bottle. Those are really limited to, a Knob Creek 9-year that my fiance and I dipped and filled on a tour together, and we said was going to be our wedding bottle. And then what replaced it was a Old Forester Hell or High Water that we actually bought at Hell or High Water in Louisville the night we got engaged at Hell or High Water. So yeah, I like whiskey. We got engaged at Hell or High Water. It's a nice place. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about these, explain to you what they are. If you get the chance to try some Taconic, I don't know that their distribution is super widespread yet, so look for it. It's good stuff. But if you don't find it, it's in New York. Come to New York, check it out. And I'll kind of go through these, but I also want to give you all some more examples because there are a lot of secondary finishes. This is definitely not a list of all of them, but the few that we've talked about here, to include other wines, port, sherry, other red wine finishes. You've got rum, stout beer finishes, cognac, armagnac finishes. Those are interesting. The Mizunara, which we'll talk a little bit about. French oak finishes. There are a lot. There's even tequila finishes out there. I actually don't think I've had any tequila finished bourbons. Um, Definitely will try it if I get the opportunity to. So yeah, a lot of different finishes, and they're all gonna change in such drastic different ways. For me, like rum, for example, it really sweetens it up. I'm not a super sweet whiskey person. I like some of those notes, but rum almost makes it too sweet for me. So you'll find some out there that you're gonna like, and some that you're not gonna love. So let's go to this Mizunara, I think. So, what is Mizunara? Mizunara is Japanese oak. So, you're not going to see a lot of this in the US, um, mainly because Japanese oak is hard to get and it's not cheap. So, it's being shipped over, and I would say 9 times out of 10 they are already pre-made casks, but they're I'm sure we're getting raw wood at some places and making casks out of those as well. So, but that was arguably our favorite, and that's why I had to bring it home. And of course, it was the most expensive one on the shelf, but it's so different. I didn't have another Mizunara cask finish on the shelf, and it's unique, so why not have it? And yeah, it's a good pour, very aromatic. It's most of your Japanese, all of your Japanese. I'm not well versed in my Japanese whiskey, so don't hold me to it. But I think all your Japanese is finished in the Mizunara cask. Could be wrong. Again, haven't studied that one, so don't hold me to that. But that's kind of the nuance there is introducing a profile that is not typical to U.S. bourbon, U.S. whiskey. And I just made myself come up with something. I think I just told a small lie because I think that Legent. No, okay, never mind. I was gonna say I was thinking that maybe Legent used Mizunara. It is not. It is finished in wine and sherry casks. Sherry is a wine, so I don't know what other wine casks finish, but anyway, thought I discovered something new. You'll have that, but we didn't. So yeah, it's definitely a very unique finish. Try it out if you get the chance. Gives like I don't know some sandalwood, some incense. I know that doesn't necessarily sound great in terms of taste, but some coconutty flavors maybe. It's definitely one to check out. The one sitting beside it, the Cabernet, simple as that, Cabernet cask finish. So it was formerly a barrel that held Cabernet, some sort of Cabernet wine, some winery somewhere. The fun one, toasted barrel. So a Elijah Craig toasted barrel is super affordable, and this is now very easy to find. It was very hard to find when it first came out. It's it's just it's a hitter. It's so smooth, so easy to sip. I would dare say with Elijah Craig toasted barrel, Woodford double oaked, um, Basil Hayden toasted. Almost all of those. If you find somebody that's not into bourbon, not into whiskey, and introduce them via those bottles, if they don't like it, they're not going to because those are the just sweetest, smoothest, easiest drinkers. I wouldn't say introductory bottles, but if you will, introductory bottles. It's too good. Too good. So, what is a toasted barrel? We've already talked about charring barrels for a quick recap. A charred barrel is, pretty intense flame for short amount of time, and we're really burning that inside layer of wood, really charring it up, and you know, creating that activated charcoal, so to speak. And toasting, you're going to do a lower heat for a longer amount of time, so it it interacts differently. I mean, I guess best way of describing it is think of throwing your bread in the toaster versus holding it up with a blowtorch. they're they're going to cook and season up differently. So a second barrel that is toasted, typically longer amount of time, lower heat than a regular char. And yeah, that's going to be still a straight bourbon if it was a straight bourbon before it went into that toasted barrel. So no big deal. The kind of differences between charring and oaking, other than the actual process that I just described, you're gonna get softer notes out of a toasted barrel than a charred. You're gonna get that smoke and classic bourbon taste out of your char, and where your toast, you're gonna get more marshmallows, vanillas, lighter, more delicate flavors. We'll say that, more delicate flavors. And it's I think I mentioned this in the last video. You got to have a good whiskey going in, or it's only going to be so much better. With toasting, with using a toasted barrel, you got a good bourbon going in, you're going to have a really good bourbon coming out. It's just there's no wrong to be done with putting good whiskey into a toasted barrel. So that is that. I think that's kind of the gist of what there is to be told on toasted barrels, cask finishing for the most part. The big nuance in this category that, like, at first I didn't even think about, and I was like, wait, why am I not talking about that? Is the Maker's Mark private selection. So if you haven't had any private selection Maker's Mark, I highly recommend you try it. It's not your typical Maker's Mark, and the process that goes into this is very fun, very unique. To my knowledge, no one else is doing anything like it right now. I'm sure that will change, but yeah, it's a really cool process, and I've heard plenty of people say I'm not a Maker's Mark fan, but I've tried some private selection stuff, and man, is it different and is it good? So this is actually my pick that I did back in, I think, April of last year. So you'll see it's got our little necker there. Wine and Spirits Discount Warehouse. It's the store that I am, the special store here in New Rochelle, New York. New York is, a lovely state and doesn't allow personalization of their bottles with store names or group names. Don't ask me why. It's New York. Everything's done here. So, like, it should say, hand selected by Jason and Leo at New Rochelle, whatever. But it doesn't. So that's why we have the little neckers. I don't know how those are allowed, but the bottle personalization is not. So what is this exactly? So Maker's Mark juice to start, and then instead of doing a barrel selection, you do a private selection. And this effectively turns into a secondary finished juice because of the process. So the process starts with you sampling each of the 5 profiles that they have available. So they currently have 5 different wood profiles. Those are the Baked American Pure, the French Cuvée, the Maker's 46. I'm sure you know of that one. French Mendiant, and Toasted French Spice. So each one of those offerings very different from one another, and those are all based off of different types of wood. So you sample each of those 5 offerings. Each one has been, it's the same juice with those 10 or so staves added in to give it that finish. So you're sampling each of those 5 offerings to see, what you like about each of them. And the process then moves into a blending. So I want to do some of this, some of this, some of this, some of this, some of this. However you want to divvy it up, and you keep developing a blend. So they've got the science down to a 100 milliliter blend, and each stave is going to be 10 milliliters of juice to get that blend. So you're making a 100 milliliter blend, and each stave is 10 milliliters. So I want 3 of this, 3 of this, 3 of this, 1 of this. That's your profile. That's blended up. You sample it. You go from there. So you can change different things throughout the process to try to create a better blend. Obviously, the blends get better after you've done it 7 times, but you're going to want to take account of what you like in between there. So we did a initial blend, which is funny. This is actually it. So my save profile is 3 baked American Pure, 3 Maker's 46, 3 French Mondial, and 1 toasted French Spice. So it was the first profile we built, and we loved it. We tried to change things from there, and we kept going back to this first one. So it ended up being what we decided on. So once we had a blend and a profile that we liked, I know I'm kind of going through this quick, so if you got questions, let me know, because there's a lot that goes into it, and hopefully my explanation was good. But it's after you've chosen that blend, you then sign your barrel head, and the card is added to that barrel. They will go and actually put those staves into your barrel and age it in the cellar at Maker's Mark, Star Hill Farm, for 9 or 12 weeks. I think it was 9. It's been a little bit now. I think it's 9 weeks. And then once it matures, they ship you the barrel and all the bottles. So you'll see, like, this one is 121 out of 250. And this is actually one of those special bottles that I just kind of mentioned. I'll open pretty much all of them. I have other ones to open, and I've already finished, I think, 2 of these. So this one's not open because you see the copious amounts of red wax. So that's the one slam dunk that we got in our 252 bottles. So it's gonna be I'll be opening that one on my deathbed. We'll put it that way. That's the last one that gets opened, and that might be the first whiskey I've ever bought by a case. So that's why that one's not open. But that process really creates something unique in terms of what you're able to pick for your group or your store or whatever it is. It's not just a single barrel and then just go pick the contents that were already in that barrel and have it bottled. So really cool process. If you ever get the chance to do something like that, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Go out of your way to get to do it. But again, it's a different type of secondary finishing because we're not throwing the contents into a secondary cask. It is a completely unique secondary finish because the staves are actually put into the barrel and then aged in that manner. So that one is the best one I've ever had. I'm just saying, not trying to pat myself on the back, but everyone that's had it's loved it. Those that didn't love it weren't bourbon people. So we've done some samplings at the store, and that thing moves. And then Maker's Mark has done a couple samplings, and they've moved quite a few bottles at the store as well too. So it's a really good one. And yeah, you're gonna see those in the market. Different stores are gonna have them. They're always gonna be most likely a different profile. You're typically gonna have a group that's gonna make their own blend, and they're gonna choose that stave profile based off of what they like that day. So they're not the same when you see one at Kroger and one at Evergreen. They're gonna be completely different, unless the folks at Kroger copy the people at Evergreen. That's a different story. So definitely try those out. That's on the different side of that finished product, if you will. I like something like this is more unique. It's got a lot more craftsmanship that goes into it, and yeah, good stuff. So just kind of a little wrap up it's going into a secondary barrel or it's going into a secondary finished product. So, um, yeah, that's kind of what finishing is, what secondary finishing is. A lot of offerings, a lot of folks are doing it. No two are going to be the same. Try some out. These are, more unique offerings than a lot of stuff that's just sitting around on the shelves. These are what I'm looking for when I'm going to different stores, different states, seeing what kind of selections the stores have done, what kind of finishes might be done. Most of those stores are going to offer samples because, they have 250 bottles of it and they want to sell it and they want to get it in your hands. So always ask for samples of those and, see what you like. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you today. I hope you like that. I hope that makes some sense. If you've got questions, drop them in the comments. I'll definitely get back to you on those. And if you got any ideas for future videos or any kind of collabs that you want to see, I think Mr. Turner and myself might be working up something here in the near future when I get back to Kentucky. So keep your eye open for that. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoyed a little pour. If you already finished it, weren't talking like me, then grab you another one. Enjoy that one too. Cheers.